Live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., you're listening to Impact Showdown with your host, Lee Sanders.
Coming at you live right now from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. This is Impact Showdown Radio. I'm, of course, as always, the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders. Thank you guys so much for checking out tonight's episode on November 1st, 2012, 1 minute past the 10 o'clock hour. Do thank you all for joining us. We just witnessed Impact Wrestling go off. For those of you that might have missed tonight's episode, we've got you covered. It's NBA Premier Week, of course, and right now on TNT we have the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the San Antonio Spurs. Right now in the first quarter with 21 seconds left in the first quarter as Oklahoma City Thunder is beating the San Antonio Spurs 23-21. We'll keep you guys posted on the score throughout the night for those of you that might not be able to check it out. As we know, there are still several thousands of you that are unfortunately without power due to Hurricane Sandy. Many of y'all have felt its impact over here on the Eastern Shores. Mad shout out to those of you in the New York area, New Jersey area, as you all were hit with it the most. You have our deepest prayers. Hopefully the recovery effort is going to be a strong one. We know President Obama came on down there. I believe it was earlier today. That's been getting a lot of buzz right about now. The best wishes to you all. And, you know, before we even go any further into tonight's episode, without a doubt, we can't jump into tonight's episode of TNA Impact Wrestling without acknowledging the late Brad Armstrong. That's right, Brad Armstrong, better known by his ring name. Brad Armstrong was the son of wrestler Bob Armstrong and brother to professional wrestlers Steve, Scott, and Brian. He unfortunately had passed away earlier today. He was found dead in his home just after seeing a physician the previous week for some undisclosed medical issue. This news had first broke on his death via WWE.com's website. So for those of you that are familiar with that Armstrong name, without a doubt, you know that connection that it has. It has that connection with the Southeast Championship Wrestling, the NWA, WCW. You know that name. You know that family. Definitely want to send our condolences, prayers with the Armstrong family right now. Very unfortunate what's going on. And, you know, for those of you that are kind of, why does that name sound familiar? Road Dogg, folks. Road Dogg Jesse James. Yeah. You break away all those little gimmicks and you come right down to his real name there. Yeah, there's Armstrong at the end of that. So very unfortunate what's going on right there. All right, so let's talk about what happened on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling there. We saw a pretty solid episode. I definitely want to dissect this from scratch. We're going to kick it up at the very top. You know, as always, we got the chat room that's open right now. Feel free to jump on in there. It's up at blogtalkradio.com. You can also interact with us during the course of tonight's episode as we're on Twitter at Infinity1Prod. Hit us up on Facebook at Infinity1 Productions. And, of course, we'll be opening up the phone line in the later part of the show. So let's jump right on into it now. You know, one of the things that had jumped out at me as tonight was the Open Fight Night edition of TNA Impact. It was also TNA Check that we had to do with tonight. So we got a 1-2 punch that was on pretty much a lackluster episode of TNA Impact, if you will. Even though it was an open fight night, you know, I think there definitely was some pressure on TNA this week. They just had a phenomenal edition of Championship Thursday just last week. Now you're trying to follow that up with the Open Fight Night edition. They didn't exactly hit a home run with this one, but nonetheless, it was pleasing to check out. Let's kick it up from the very top. We had, and this was a weird way for TNA Impact to kick off tonight. It actually began with Joseph Parks. Now, remember, folks, just last week, Joseph Parks had went to the Immortal Hulk Hogan and had asked to be released from his contract, binding him to Dixie Carter, TNA Wrestling, as he wanted a shot at somebody in Aces and Eights. Well, Hulk Hogan, he had great concerns about that, and he told Parks that he had to think about that, as he really wasn't too keen to jump all over that, basically in fear of Parks' safety. Well, Joseph, he's in the ring. He reveals that him and his partners, they were doing some brainstorming. They were able to determine that there is a loophole in that contract that is tying Parks to TNA Wrestling right now, and that loophole is none other than the Open Fight Night Challenge. So with that in mind, Joseph Parks, he sends out a challenge to anybody from Aces and Eights as he wants to face them one-on-one. Well, be careful what you ask for, Joseph, because it's not quite always what you want. And in this case, we saw not one, not two, not three, but at least 4 to 5 members of Aces and Eights come out. They all surrounded the ring, and they all started getting the jump on Joseph, when all of a sudden we see the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle come to the rescue, followed by the icon Sting. And Sting, in this particular segment, it pretty much set the tone for what you all can expect for the night, as Sting vowed that before the night was out, they are going to have one of the masks of the Aces and Eights members to pick up on what Devon had said to his brothers last week. You lose your mask, you're out of the club, you mess up your money. Pretty much as simple as that. So Stinger putting it out there that somebody's going to be losing their mask tonight. Of course, from there, we got to pick it up with just a few of the matches that we had saw, and really there was not really that many matches. Surprisingly, folks, and I'm going to talk about this in a little bit, surprisingly, the best match of the night was actually the TNA Gut Check match revolving one Christian York. More on that in just a little bit. So let's get this BS stuff out the way, because there was a lot of BS that was just on this episode tonight. Of course, we had the former TNA Tag Champions, Daniels and Kazarian. They came out to some new music. Didn't quite fit them. I kind of missed the old music that they've been pushing all this time. Really wasn't too keen on what they were coming out to tonight. Wasn't the first time either tonight that we had heard somebody else come out to some new music, as the one and only Joey Ryan also came out to some new music. I really wasn't sure what was going on with that. But anyway, we see the former tag team champions. They come out, and it looks as though, since it's open fight night, they're going to be calling out Hector and Chavo Guerrero. On the contrary, they did call out a Guerrero, but it was not the Guerrero you would think. They actually called out Hector Guerrero and Willie, who are the TNA Spanish commentators. They called them down to the ring. These two guys, they really did not want to have anything to do with Daniels and Kazarian, but Daniels, that mouthpiece, that heartbeat of that tag group, just played all the right buttons and really was able to just push all those perfect notes for Hector to get in the ring. And from there, Daniels, Kazarian, they just started beating the two guys down. Super Mex, Chavo Guerrero, they come to the rescue. We see Daniels and Kazarian, they quickly escape the ring, and they don't want any part of the tag team champions. So that takes care of that. Let's go to that TNA gut check match now, where we had Christian York, and he took on, of all people, Zema Ion. I'm kicking back. 35 years old, Christian York, awesome physique, the way this guy was moving in the ring. You couldn't go wrong with this guy. I already knew what this guy was capable of. I've been a fan of his for a good little minute now, and I thought it was so funny because as I was trying to refresh my memory of him, I was just looking him up on Google. I almost half forgot there that he is from the Virginia area, and my family is actually very close in his neck of the woods, so I think you kind of see where I'm going here. It might be a prelude as far as things to come. I might be able to get him on the show. I'm sure if me and him were to strike up some talks of Virginia, I could probably who knows where that might go. Then again, maybe that could just be a conversation between me and him. I don't know. But if I'm able to get him on the show, I'll let you guys know. I am working on it right now, especially since he's from the Virginia area. I just thought that was freaking amazing right there. But let's talk about this match that Jesse had. I was loving Christian, my bad. I was loving this match between Christian and Ion. If there was ever a time where a TNA gut check contestant should have won, it should have been tonight. This would have been the perfect scenario. I've been saying it for I don't know how many months now that sooner or later this whole TNA gut check needed to take a turn where it's not always a given that the TNA wrestler will always defeat the TNA gut check contestant. And for me personally, it was just all about finding that right person that could get that win over that TNA wrestler. And tonight they had the moment, but they just had to continue tradition, and they had to have Christian York lose to Zema Ion, who really had just been buried in previous weeks. I don't understand why that couldn't continue to happen. I mean, that really, for me personally, it didn't do anything for Zema Ion, especially if he's going to go out and get buried the next week. You guys feel what I'm saying? Just watch me on that. I'd be shocked if they allow Zema Ion to score 2 back-to-back victories. I just don't see that happening right now. So keep that in mind. Remember, you heard it here first. Don't be too surprised if you see Zema Ion lose next week. It just goes to the fact that I'm making here. Tonight was the night. Christian York, he should have been the first TNA gut check contestant to get a victory. What an awesome body like that, and the way the guy moved in the ring. Folks, words cannot describe how this guy moved. If I were to even try, the best combinations I could think of. This guy reminded me so much of a younger RVD combined with John Morrison. That gives you an idea of his style of wrestling and how he was moving in the ring. It was just it was beauty. Poetic beauty was what was I watching in the ring there, just seeing him do everything that he was doing just so gracefully, flawlessly too. Hands down, on freaking point. I honestly would be shocked as hell if this guy did not get a TNA contract next week. And see, just to let you guys know how much of an impact Christian York has on the way that we were viewing him tonight. TNA Wrestling, they put a poll out there, and they had asked if Christian York deserved a TNA gut check contract. Now, check out the votes for folks. We were checking up on this all throughout the night, and we have the latest results for you guys right now. Dig this. Out of 1,057 votes, this is the following. This is how many people have voted here. Man, you can't make this stuff up. This is ridiculous. I'm loading it up right now, folks. Give me a second here. Out of 1,057 votes, 95% voted yes for Christian York getting a TNA Impact Wrestling contract. Only 5% of you, and it looks like it's at 58 votes right now, said no. I'm not really sure what you guys are smoking right there, but for the 1,000+ of you that voted yes, pat yourselves on the back tonight. I truly feel that if Christian York did not get a TNA gut check contract, if there was ever a time for Joey Ryan to step in, it would be right then and there. Let me assure you folks of that. All right, so moving right along, I had got my names mixed up there earlier, but we saw Jesse have his match against ODB, and it's not every day I say this, but as long as I've been watching TNA Wrestling, and I just have to think about what all's been happening this calendar year, I would just have to say, as far as the AJ Styles, Claire Lynch story angle, and I have only just begun, because I'm going to be mentioning that again in just a little bit. And for those of you that might have missed TNA Impact, I know we were doing our best to hook you guys up on our Twitter feed throughout the night, but you're going to love what had happened, as there was a bit of a pipe bomb moment from TNA to WWE. More on that in a little bit. But we saw what I thought was probably the second worst thing that has happened in TNA Wrestling this calendar year. Jesse taking on ODB. No, I'm not talking about Jesse, Uncle Jesse from Full House. I'm not talking about Jesse the Body Ventura. I'm not even talking about Jesse from the Rick Springfield song Jesse's Girl. No, I'm talking about Jesse, Big Brother, TMZ, Victoria's Boo. That's the Jesse I'm talking about. He had this match against ODB. It was a match where, really, I could not wait for this to end. I was just looking at this match, and I'm saying to myself, I'm really supposed to take this match seriously. I'm really supposed to take everything I'm watching seriously. And, I mean, it was just a joke, and it wasn't even a ha-ha-ha moment. It was just one of those, why are we really watching this? Because this is supposed to be the open fight night edition. We are supposed to be seeing matches that we never thought would happen in a good way, and this was a waste of space right here, especially when I think about how many wrestlers are on the TNA roster, okay, good wrestlers at that have not had the luxury of really being utilized by TNA management within recent weeks, recent months. Hell, I would have been more satisfied seeing a match with Kid Cash, Wes Briscoe, who, as far as I know, Wes Briscoe has yet to have a TNA wrestling match, but yet he's been lingering around in the back, just spoiling for a fight. I would have settled for something like that. Maybe him and Kid Cash could have had some type of a backstage scuffle, an accidental bump, and then Briscoe, boom, he gets his first match out there like that. Don't even see anything like that happen. No, we get this lame-ass Jesse versus ODB, and I could not wait for this match to be over with. I know some of you guys are probably listening to this, and you're probably saying, come on, Lee, as far as this calendar year goes for TNA Wrestling, surely this wasn't really as bad as you're saying it was. I send you this challenge. If you did not watch TNA Impact tonight, do yourself a favor. You know somebody's going to upload it on YouTube or TNA Wrestling. Maybe they'll show highlights from this match, or maybe they'll do something which is far worse and actually put up that match on their channel. Check it out the next day. You'll see it. You will agree it was half-ass, lame-ass, really had no business being on TV tonight. I just really feel sorry for this Jesse guy because he has a great physique. He looks like he might have a promising career, but just the way that he's taking off so far, he's quite honestly being made fun of. It's kind of hard to take him seriously. I don't know, maybe if he could align himself with somebody of the same sex other than Tara, I don't know. It's kind of weird when you think about it because if you've been watching TNA Wrestling as far back as when Kip James and Badass Billy Gunn were in there, remember how Billy Gunn was when he was teaming up with the Beautiful People? I mean, he might have seemed a little feminine, but he was still a badass. He was still a force to reckon with. And, I kind of see just a little hint of that arrogant, flashy, cocky side of Billy Gunn when I look at Jesse, but he is just ways off from getting to that point. He needs a serious makeover. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, Kip, thanks. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm saying thanks to those that are in the chat room right now. Feel free to jump on in there when you get a chance as well. We got the chat room loaded up right now on blogtalkradio.com. All right, so let's talk about what else we had saw during the course of the night. We saw the return of probably one of my favorite guys, Bobby Roode, make his eagerly anticipated return. It was kind of like one of those, damn, Bobby Roode, almost forgot this guy was in TNA. Where the hell has he been? Well, Bobby Roode's been kind of licking his wounds quietly there. Well, we see Bobby Roode, he returns, and he lets it be known that he feels as though Hulk Hogan has been dicking him around because it clearly stated in his contract that so as long as Austin Aries was the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Roode could not get another shot at that belt. So now that Austin Aries has lost the title, you would think that Bobby Roode would be right back in the title picture, right? No, it doesn't even happen that way, as who could forget what happened last week? Hogan had selected 4 guys, and he was going through a series of eliminations to determine who was going to face Jeff Hardy for the championship, as it was the championship edition of Impact Wrestling. And, of course, the winner of that would go on to be the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. And, you see Robert Roode, he's fumed, he's pissed. Yeah, we definitely understand where he's coming from when he says he feels he's being dicked around here by the Hulkster. Well, we see AJ Styles pop up, and he gets into the face of Bobby Roode. And this, folks, is where we have a pipe bomb moment right here. Yes, TNA actually did have a little mini pipe bomb moment tonight. It was the shot heard all around Twitter and probably all other forms of social media. And, folks, I'm not going to even try to shorten this. I'm not going to even abbreviate it. I'm not going to dance around it. I'm going to give you the full thing that AJ Styles had said to Robert Roode, as it was some really hilarious stuff right here. I'm going to pull it up for you guys right now. And, if you want to check out the latest results, we got them up on our website over at InfinityOneProductions.com. Check it out. So, look, this is what basically happened right here. So AJ Styles, he comes out, and he basically reminds Robert Roode, hey, man, why are you spilling over sour milk? Have you forgotten already that you used to be the longest reigning TNA World Heavyweight Champion? I mean, Roode, while you were running around holding that title for long extended periods of time, I was battling my own personal problems. Hell, pictures were being taken of me, videos were being made of me, getting in an elevator with a woman, which seems to be the new fab if your name is AJ. And for those of you that might have been watching WWE Raw this past Monday night, you all recall that new little twist that's happening with John Cena and AJ Styles, where they showed those same things that AJ Styles just mentioned. So brilliantly, I love how they were able to just pick up on that right there. And you knew TNA was going to try to capitalize on it in some type of way, because one of the people that was watching WWE Raw this past Monday night was the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, apparently. He had saw the segment, and he had released a tweet directly to Impact Wrestling, Dixie Carter, and another top executive in the WWE, letting them know that the Big E in Stamford, Connecticut was ripping their stuff off, taking their camera angles, their unique style of camera shot angles, the whole 9 yards. So you knew Impact Wrestling in some shape or form was going to try to capitalize on that. I thought they did a very good job right here. And from there, we see AJ Styles. He sends a challenge to Bobby Roode, since it's the Open Fight Night edition. Am I the only guy over here that's having a tongue twister every single time I bring up Robert Roode? I mean, 1 minute it's Robert, it's Bobby. Yeah, they're both the same thing, but I don't know. For me, Robert just seems more like it. Bobby just seems kind of soft. Bobby just seems kind of, I'd rather go with Robert. That name suits him more. You know, the it factor of professional wrestling. Robert Roode, Bobby Roode, doesn't really quite roll off the tongue like that. But then again, maybe that's just me. But anyway, folks, we see AJ Styles. He sends a challenge out to Robert Roode. Hey, let's go at it one-on-one. Let's go. Roode, he doesn't want to have anything to do with AJ Styles. So AJ, he turns his back. Roode attacks him from behind, and the two of them, they're just going at it until finally we see the Hulkster come up, and he lets them know that there's going to be a match at Turning Point, as it's going to be the two of them getting it on with the Cowboy, James Storm, in a triple threat match, and whoever wins that match at Turning Point will be the new #1 contender, folks. But wait. Bad news for the loser. Whoever is the one that gets pinned, they will not get another shot at the TNA World Heavyweight title until Bound for Glory 2013. So just imagine that, folks. Whoever loses, whoever is that person that gets pinned, they're going to have to wait all the way until October 2013 to get another shot at the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. That is freaking ridiculous. Honestly, Philip, I would think that if they submit, it's the same thing. I think it would be kind of petty if they went that route and said, but this person had lost by submission. They still get a shot. I think whoever gets pinned, whoever is that same person that submits, they're the ones that's going to be screwed out of their match respectively for that whole year. Now the big question comes into mind, who could possibly be that loser? Well, as the time draws more near, because it's still just a little bit too early to call it right now, we do have that match prediction special that's going to be coming up next week. We'll cover it then, but for now, let's just marinate on that. And, I'm really curious as to what you all think might happen with that, who you all see that could possibly win that match. Moving right along now, we also had got to see an exchange between Austin Aries and Jeff Hardy, as earlier in the night, Austin Aries, he had some business to attend to with Big Robbie and Little Robbie. Apparently, Austin Aries was refreshing Robbie E's memory of beating Jeff Hardy in the Bound for Glory series to pick up 5 points. And somehow, Austin Aries was able to psych up the head of Robbie E into challenging Jeff Hardy to a match tonight, as Robbie E felt, well, since he beat him in the Bound for Glory series once, maybe he could make lightning strike twice, right? No, man, it didn't happen tonight, folks. Jeff Hardy beat the hell out of Robbie E. But Austin Aries had an exchange with Jeff Hardy after the match, and he had said to him that when it's all said and done, Jeff Hardy was just lucky when he had beat him at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, and that this time around, the only difference is going to be 3 seconds, as he feels that he's going to have Jeff Hardy's number, because look at that track record that Austin Aries had the moment he got into TNA Wrestling, undefeated every single pay-per-view right on up until he locked up with Jeff Hardy. Adding more insult to injury, Austin Aries still has Jeff Hardy's TNA World Heavyweight Championship. No, not the ugly one. Jeff Hardy still has that one. Aries is holding on to the actual TNA World Heavyweight Championship belt because he can, and he feels that he will be doing that belt the right justice when he beats Jeff Hardy at Turning Point to rightfully lay claim to being the official TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Well, we see Jeff Hardy. He counters right back and he says, okay, yeah, we could get it on that Turning Point, no problem. But why don't we make it this type of match, and the type of match that they're going to be having at Turning Point, as Hulk Hogan did sign off on it. It's going to be a ladder match, folks. So if Austin Aries wants to become the new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, he is going to have to do it the hard way. Austin Aries is going to have to beat Jeff Hardy at his own game in a ladders match. Also on the card tonight, which really we did not get that many matches, folks. By my records here, looks like we had only got 5 matches total. Last main event match of the night, we had got to see Devon take on Bully Ray. Now, this actually had played out just the way it needed to. We did see these two guys get into the ring. They threw it down for just a little bit. Then we saw the numbers game pile up as other Aces and Eights members, they came on down to the ring, and it looked as if those number odds was really going to be what played that true factor, as it looked as if Bully Ray was going to be getting his ass handed to him. But we had saw the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. We had saw Sting. They all had came down, lend Bully Ray a hand. We also saw Joseph Park. He came on down, loaned a hand. And that big guy that we all have been looking at in Aces and Eights, no, not the Bane-like guy, as we like to call him, that big, tall drink of water-looking guy in Aces and Eights, we actually did get to see his mask get taken off through all the mix. And what had confirmed many of you all's minds for many, many months now, it was none other than Luke Gallows. That's right, former WWE employee, Mr. Festus Biscuits and Gravy. I missed that little song. You know, it's kind of sad because as soon as I saw him, you would think that maybe Straight Edge Society will pop up in my mind as soon as I see it's revealed to be Luke Gallows. No, I don't even go that route. I don't even go the route when Luke Gallows was the pretend Kane for a little bit. No, I'm not talking about way, way back. I'm talking about within the past 5 years. Remember, there was 2 Kanes running around there. That was Luke Gallows. No, that didn't even come into my mind. As soon as I see the mask come off this guy, I'm thinking of that tongue sticking out and just that weird glazed look in his eyes, and I just got this song in my head, Biscuits and Gravy. I'm like, oh, my God. I know you guys are probably hearing that. You're probably like, yeah, I can see that too, Biscuits and Gravy. All he needs now is Jesse to pop up and say, me and Festus, we're going to have ourselves a match. I mean, that would just be kind of awesome right now. But, you know, I just really felt that TNA, they just really dropped the ball tonight when they had that mask come off, because it was like, and you couldn't make this up. I actually had to rewind just in case I might have missed it. And I didn't even miss anything. That's the sad part. I rewinded it just to make sure. But his mask comes off. We hear Mike Tenay and Jeremy Borash. They're like, hey, we know him. We've seen him before. And they don't even say it's Luke Gallows. No. They don't even say any of that. They don't even mention how he was in the WWE. They don't even sell this damn guy. That joint just goes, oh, hey, we know him. He looks familiar. And pretty much Impact Wrestling goes off like that. Now, that is just, to me, one lame-ass sell to reveal. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you want to have some major pop at the end of that. You want to have the mask come off, and you want to say, my God, JB, do you know who that is? I sure do. Tenay, isn't that? Yes, it is, folks. Folks, that's Luke Gallows. Luke Gallows used to be in the WWE. For a while there, he was the Kane Imposter, and he was Festus, and most recently, he was doing some work down in TNA Wrestling's indie promotion, Ring Ka King. What the hell is he doing with the aces and eights? You know, they really should have done a hard sell to try to make the TNA Wrestling viewer feel as though they need to check out next week's episode, and they just poorly executed it. It's like just in the wind that just kind of made you go, tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, it was so-so. I really could have missed it. It wasn't really anything too special. All because of the way they sold that final freaking segment, folks. Definitely when we open up the phone lines in the later part of the show, I want to hear what you guys are saying. For those of you in the chat room, if you saw Impact Wrestling tonight, I want to hear what you guys think. You know, I know we got listeners from the West Coast, and we love hearing from you guys, but unfortunately you guys are at a disadvantage right now because as we're on the air, Impact Wrestling is probably, maybe now in its first hour still or something like that. So it really doesn't make sense for you guys to call, though we appreciate it, but it really doesn't make sense for you guys to call because you really can't take away the whole value of tonight's show. All you can talk about is what's happening during that first hour. So, you know, this shout-out really goes to those of you that saw tonight's Impact Wrestling in whole. I definitely want to pick your brains tonight, find out how you had liked the way it came about, especially with that last segment there. But overall tonight, really, my main takeaways from this week's episode of Impact Live, and this is the Open Fight Night edition. That's the sad part. This was probably one of the weakest Open Fight Nights I've seen since they've came up with the whole concept. I would have to say the Christian York versus Ion, hands down, greatest fucking match of the night. Let's see, what other segments were interesting? You know, there was a segment where Matt Morgan and Joey Ryan, they had popped up, and they were following up on what Matt Morgan had did to Hulk Hogan over the weekend as he had crashed at the Hulkster's new memorabilia shop that he had opened up, and he had jacked one of Hogan's classic capes. I know many of you are probably like, Hogan used to wear capes? Yeah, back in the heyday, Hulk Hogan used to wear capes. Go look it up. You'd be pretty badass when he was pushing them capes back in the day. Hey, Thunder Lips, that's all I got to say. And, you know, that was a pretty interesting segment right there. Of course, we also had got to see, and I can't believe I almost forgot this. It's not my fault. It was just the amount of crap that they were giving us tonight. We did see Joey Ryan in a match with Rob Van Dam. Now, that match was good, although it didn't last that long. We actually saw Joey Ryan pick up the win via pinfall as he got some help from the Blueprint, Matt Morgan. Matt Morgan, in the meantime, he's continuing his whole run, bashing Hulk Hogan, letting him know how he's been waiting for Hulk Hogan and TNA to give him the ball, and he got tired of waiting. At this point, he just said, F it, and he just said he'll take the damn ball. And he challenged everybody in the TNA locker room, Hogan, just everybody in general, that if they had a problem with that, come get them some of him, and he promised that he would shit them out. You can't make that stuff up. That's exactly what he said on live TV, folks. He will shit them out. And that was pretty much it. So really, Christian York versus Ion, RVD versus Joey Ryan, that was pretty much your meat and potatoes of the night. Now we have a little bit more insight what's going to be happening at TNA's Turning Point pay-per-view, which is going to be coming up Sunday, November 11th. Of course, we're going to be covering that. So far, we've got Jeff Hardy versus Austin Aries in a ladder match. We got James Storm versus Robert Roode versus AJ Styles, where a number one contender spot will be on the line. Loser of the match, that is the person who gets pinned, probably also the same person that submits, may not get a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship until Bound for Glory 2013. And we also have Chavo and Hernandez taking on Daniels and Kazarian. That was revealed tonight. Hogan officially signed off on it. So right now, there's our three main matches for the Turning Point pay-per-view. More matches, of course, are scheduled to more matches are going to be announced, so we'll keep you guys tracked on that. You know how it goes. All right, this is what we're going to do right now. We're going to take a very brief commercial break. We'll be right back, get into a little bit of TNA wrestling-related news for those of you that might have missed it. For sure, we're going to open up the phone lines, get you all's reactions to tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling Live. We'll be coming right back. You're listening to Impact Showdown Radio, coming at you right now on blogtalkradio.com and over at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit infinityoneproductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit infinityoneproductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the RCWR Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is the app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have two cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
We're back. It's Impact Showdown Radio coming at you live right now on blogtalkradio.com and over at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. For those of you that need to know the score for that Charlotte versus San Antonio game, we'll have the score for you guys in just a little bit. It's halftime right now. It's on TNT, watching my man C. Webb right along with a full panel tonight. They just have the camera fixated on him. There we go. Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, the usual round table, getting it on the Sprint halftime report right now. As soon as we have that score available for you guys, we'll let you know about it. So, last time we were on the air, we had told you guys about one or two lawsuits that luckily Hulk Hogan was able to squash. Now, of the two, Hulk Hogan was able to squash his lawsuit with Bubba the Love Sponge for a undisclosed amount, which we knew for what amount, but, then it wouldn't be disclosed anymore. But he was able to squash it, and Bubba the Love Sponge, he had actually went to his radio show earlier this week, and he had said that he never actually believed that Hulk Hogan truly didn't know that he was being videotaped, as, of course, we all know Hulk Hogan had sex with, then at the time, Bubba the Love Sponge wife, Heather Clem. All this time, Bubba was under the impression Hogan knew, when in fact Hogan honestly did not know. So Bubba's really kicking himself in the ass right now. Of course, for those of you that might have been asking what was going on with Taz tonight, why he didn't pop up, it was because he had to deal with what all was happening to his home in New York, as he was dealing with the aftermath from Hurricane Sandy. So, unfortunately, Taz, stuck up in New York, had to travel to Orlando, as always, for TNA Impact Live, wasn't able to do so this week. So, he's dealing with that aftermath. Hopefully, we'll be able to see him again. And something that was pointed out by you, the listeners, y'all were talking about that weird exchange there that we have seen the past 2 weeks, where when it comes time for the announcers to switch it up, there's that poor, I call it a changing of the guard. I mean, it just looks really tacky. I know Zed had said something. I know I actually sent a private message to Impact Wrestling and Dixie Carter. I said, hey, if you guys are going to be doing this on a regular basis, I'd appreciate it if you guys could maybe just wait until a commercial break. Then you come right back and we just have the new announce team right there. They're just ready to go at it. The flow just keeps going. I do not care about seeing some guy just stand awkwardly behind Mike Tenay and JB, or Mike Tenay and Taz, and he's taking off his headset, and we got to watch him just pathetically go walk off to the backstage area. It kind of reminds me of those Conan O'Brien skits that we used to get with the masturbating bear, and after the skit was over, once in a blue moon, the cameras, they would cut back to the after playing the bear, and you would just see the actor. He's still dressed in the costume, but he's no longer being that character anymore, and you see him just kind of wander his ass off to the backstage area, just kind of, and, I'm tired of seeing that. I kind of got that same vibe when I was watching, what's his name? Todd Kinley, I believe is his name. I was kind of getting that same vibe when I was watching him and JB last week switch off with Taz and Mike Tenay, and they're just standing there. It was just kind of awkward. That's all I can say. That's the best way I can describe it. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, you just really need to just record it on your DVR next time around, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. It's not overanalyzing. There's a lot of us that just don't like the way that's been coming off. They really need to clean that up. Like I said, take a commercial break, come right back. You got the new commentating team. That's exactly how you do it. Or if you really want to spice things up a little bit, why not try making it be a four-man team? Because quite honestly, no disrespect to Jeremy Borash, I mean, as much as I kind of like JB, I definitely don't like the new guy, Todd. I say let SoCal Val do her thing with the backstage pass segment, because unfortunately And I know usually we talk about Backstage Pass, but there was only one or two things that kind of jumped out there for the majority of the Backstage Pass. We didn't get anything. You would think maybe we would keep getting SoCal Val. No. We didn't even get that. SoCal Val was MIA. Backstage Pass, there was like no interviews for a good chunk of segments. Probably the main takeaways from the Backstage Pass was Todd interviewing Daniels and Kazarian. Later on, he interviewed Zema Ion, I believe. Then I believe he also did a interview with Robbie E. Really nothing you could really take from the Backstage Pass this week, as originally they did have some audio problems at the very beginning. Also, one thing that was very funny, something very new that they did this time around, I don't know if maybe JB was behind it. I would think not, because usually when JB's doing the Backstage Pass, him and SoCal Val, they're usually just boom, they're at it, everything is smooth. But this time around, I couldn't help but notice that the Backstage Pass on YouTube, you could not comment with other people as you were watching the episode live. And I just really thought that kind of hurt the overall experience on YouTube, as it's a really cool way to interact with other people, especially those you're coming across for the very first time. No, the guy's name is Todd Kendall. That's his name. He's still new to me, but I got to be honest, I really don't like his commentating. I have heard better. I honestly, I don't know what it is that JB saw in this guy, but I think they can do so better than this guy. I think they need to go in a different direction. But I think it's safe to say, whether we like it or not, I think Todd is going to be sticking around. God, they haven't been the same since they got rid of Don West. I actually miss Don West. I miss him just looking at that script. And for those of you that know those Botchamania videos, you know that one video I'm talking about where they show Mike Tenay and Don West, and they're reading a script, and Mike Tenay goes, I just got word, something is happening in the backstage area, and you see Don West, he's just shaking his head very quickly, trying to find the lines, and he says, oh my God, let's see what's happening right now. I hear Sting's being jumped, and he's actually reading that. It's really funny. If you haven't seen that, go look it up on YouTube. I don't know how you would be able to find it. I think you should try using TNA Botchamania or Don West Botchamania. You might be able to find it that way. Other than that, only other TNA wrestling news that we got for you guys this week. It's been a pretty much slow week right here. I know former TNA Knockout winner, she had recently did a interview with the Alternative Wrestling magazine, and she talked about her storyline with Angelina Love, and she answered that age-old question that's been asked time and time again. Hey, what happened with that storyline there? Seemed like it was going somewhere, then all of a sudden it just, poof, it just disappeared. Well, Angelina Love, she pretty much said she had no idea why the storyline was dropped, and she certainly didn't have a clue as to whether there was going to be any further plans to it. And she also talked about WWE's Divas comparing with the TNA Knockouts. And in that aspect, she had said TNA, there was more consistency in terms of time in the ring, the visibility of the girls versus the guys in general. She also talked about her wrestling future and some bad rumor that's been going around about her retirement from the business. And to that, she said that she still wrestles independently. She's still having fun doing it. She loves being in front of a crowd and playing up her character, kicking ass. As far as she knows, she has no future whatsoever retiring from the wrestling business. She does like the new creative freedom that she has now, where she's able to make her own schedule and do as she pleases. One more update. We got King Mohammed, or as I like to call him, King Mojo Jojo. He was recently talking about his training down at the TNA Developmental Territory in OVW, and he basically was saying that he's been enjoying his training so far, It's been very intense as he's being advised by Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe. He's working with Al Snow, Eugene Dinsmore. All of these guys have been helping him out and making him fine-tune his craft. He's been doing pretty solid. And for those of you that may be liking that style from Todd Kinley, the new TNA announcer, he now has a Twitter handle. You can go follow him. I'm not going to give you that because you're probably not even going to even try to follow him, so what's the point? All right, and other TNA wrestling-related news, the Ottawa Courier is reporting that Joe Ryan Luke, age 33, was basically one of the two men charged with stealing TNA championship belts back in August. Remember, we had told you about that story there where two guys had stole the actual TNA championship belt, which was estimated to be worth, I believe, a little bit over $10,000, and then they had stole the replica belt, which was worth about $400 to $600. Well, one of the guys was charged with that. They had pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty to fifth-degree theft and was sentenced to 2 years probation and undisclosed fines. So there you have it right there. The other guy, Mr. Forrest Courtney Jamison, 39, was also eventually taken into custody. He was charged as an accessory to the crime. Now, his sentencing will be scheduled next Wednesday. And one more piece of wrestling news for you guys. For those of you that are curious how Hulk Hogan's injunction hearing has been going against that Gawker website for putting up that video. Oh, Lord God. Why am I even talking about this? But anyway, for those of you that are curious about that lawsuit, there's a hearing for that that's going to be coming up. It was originally supposed to go down this November 13th, but it's been pushed up to November 8th, so a week difference there. And Hogan's side, they requested the new date due to Hogan's primary counsel not being available on November 8th due to another case that he's involved in, so basically cause of conflict. And Gawker's attorneys, in the meantime, they didn't contest pushing the hearing back. Meanwhile, as we just reported, the lawsuit with Bubba the Love, that's been squashed, while the one against Heather Clem and Gawker continues. And remember, Hulk Hogan is suing Gawker for $100 million. All right, we're going to go on ahead now, and we're going to open up the wrestling fan line and get you all's reaction. And, there's two more pieces of news I want to say. This is actually an early show tonight. We're actually going to end pretty early. There's two things I want to mention right here. It was one that jumped out at me, one headline, and then a personal note I want to say before we open up the phone lines. The first thing is there was a man that was charged with illegally streaming TNA pay-per-views, and he's now facing jail time and restitution. Now, this is according to, I'm not going to even name, well, I'll go ahead and name it. As long as I don't tell you guys the whole process, you guys are good. According to Torrent Freak, Yonjo Koino of Comstock Park, Michigan, was arrested of operating websites which link to unauthorized sports and pay-per-view event streams. Kwawa has now been sentenced to time served and deportation to his home country. In addition to that, Kwawa must pay restitution to the NFL, NBA, WWE, and TNA, totaling a whopping $13,000. TNA Wrestling is expected to collect just a mere $2,600 of the total. WTF, you got served, my brother. Now, look, we all know that there are those sites that are out there that allows you to check out websites, check out music, check out pay-per-views for free. It's known as illegal streaming. You know, we do our best to not encourage that type of stuff over here on the show. You know, my best advice, though, and I'm just going to be a straight up man with you guys. I got to be brutally honest. If you're going to do it, don't boost about it. Don't be sharing no links to other people. If you do share links, keep it on the hush. Keep it in a private message. You know, there used to be a time when it came to checking out pay-per-views for free online. It was really about who you knew that had that connection, because it was always that best little kept secret on what site you could go check out every month to watch a pay-per-view for free. And unfortunately, you got a lot of illegal streaming sites that's out there that will sit up and they will try to charge you X amount of money to watch a stream, which honestly you can watch for free. So, you know, you're being gypped. And, you know, when it's all said and done, nobody wins, really. The wrestling promotion, they don't win. The wrestlers that's busting their ass, they don't win. And it really buys into those stock shares, the buy rates, everything. It just has a huge domino effect. So, you know, try to set up and order the pay-per-view. I mean, if you can't order the damn pay-per-view, go to a friend's house. I can't tell you guys how many times I used to be strapped for cash as a teenager, and every single time I turned around, my best friends, they were always ordering, and I mean legitimately ordering the pay-per-views that were coming on. And I just used to go over their house, and I just used to watch it, and, you know, that was it, you know. So do that. Do whatever you got to do, you know. But if you're going to do the illegal streaming, man, don't get yourself in trouble like this freaking knucklehead, because when it's all said and done, they're going to catch up with your ass. We've told the story once before. Just think about what happened with that guy that had took it upon himself to release Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy album early by like 4, 5, 6 months. The FBI was knocking on his door one weekend, arrested his ass, arrested his computer. That guy got served big time. So don't get yourself in trouble. It's not worth it. You know, be careful who you're sharing links with. If you found your little niche, keep it to yourself. Unless it's somebody that you really trust and you know they're not going to be spreading it all out there like that, and it has a boomerang effect and it bites you in the ass, you know, then, you know, okay, go ahead, share the link. But other than that, man, just, you know, if you're going to do it, do it the right way. Don't get yourself in trouble. And damn sure don't sit up and pay somebody who really is bumping off of a free stream, which brings me to another point. It sickens me every single time I go on YouTube and we get ready to post shows for you guys, our post shows covering the respective TNA, WWE pay-per-views, and we got knuckleheads that are on YouTube that are uploading the entire pay-per-views on YouTube, and they're also showing clips, video clips, that is, of the matches that has happened at that respective pay-per-view. And we know damn well these guys have not gotten any type of permission whatsoever. And, you know, this is my message to you guys out there. You know, for some of you, you might sit up and say, I'm not going to do that. You know, that I ain't got nothing to do with that. You know, but for those of you that like your wrestling, you like being able to see what you're able to see every single week, you actually come up out of your pockets in order to have pay-per-view, this message is for you guys. If you see some knucklehead on YouTube that is sitting up posting a $40, $50, $60 pay-per-view in its entirety on YouTube, report their ass. Do the right thing. You know, unfortunately, wrestling radio shows like ours, several other wrestling radio shows, we try to give you guys feedback from what all you might have missed on the pay-per-view. We do the best job that we can to give you guys the full fallout with fan reactions. And, you know, unfortunately, we got knuckleheads like these guys that really is giving a black eye to our wrestling radio shows, because, see, what's going to end up happening is, if it's not careful, it's a combination / collaboration. If the wrestling promotions don't work very closely with YouTube, what's basically going to end up happening is our wrestling radio show, all other wrestling radio shows, we're just going to eventually be banned from YouTube. We're not going to be able to sit up and cover it, and we're doing the right thing over here because we're not even showing wrestling video footage. But guess what? Since there's always that constant abuse, eventually our shows, other shows, could be pulled from YouTube, and then we're going to have to try to figure out another way to figure out how to bring you content, and I'm not going to say that it's snitching. It's not snitching. I think if you're like me, I make it my business to sit up and pay $40, $50, $60, $100, $120 a month to check out the pay-per-views. I'm proud to say that. I can man up and say, I checked this pay-per-view out even though it was bad. I do that because I love the sport of wrestling. And, if you ask me what pisses me off, it pisses me off to know that somebody is sitting up, uploading a $40, $50, $60 pay-per-view onto YouTube, and they aren't getting in trouble. Meanwhile, you got wrestling radio shows that's trying to cover the results. They get a hard fucking time submitting their video to YouTube because it's too long. Meanwhile, you have a knucklehead that's putting up a 3-hour pay-per-view, and theirs is no problem. So, I do kind of see that there's a little bit of a double standard here, and I'm not going to say that it's snitching. It's just about doing the right thing, and it's just thinking about the domino effect that it could have all over if it's not squashed. Now, if you have been paying attention to WWE, in recent reports, WWE has been trying to work exclusively with YouTube in a way where they are trying to design it so that whenever you try to come up with anything WWE related, they're trying to set it up so that their channel is the only one that you will come across and none other. They are trying to set it up so that all those sites that like to sit up and they're able to make money off of showing WWE videos. They're able to show pay-per-views from all different types of wrestling organizations. They're trying to put a stop to that. Now, some people, they may be on the fence about that. Some people may sit up and say, you know what, this is something that shouldn't happen because we need to be able to see the old school type of matches. We need to be able to see this. We should still be able to see that. It's probably going to be very divided amongst people depending on who you talk to. But if they do it in a way where their main focal point is taking care of those that's just really abusing the uploading. I mean, guys, we even got some people that upload pornographic stuff on YouTube, and they aren't even getting in trouble because nobody is reporting them. I mean, just picture it for a second. If you have a child that's 5 years old, they're on YouTube, there's really, you can't really come across any harm on YouTube. And just imagine your kid come across a pornographic video on YouTube. You're going to be like, oh, God, I'm going to have a hard time explaining this to little Junior, It's going to be freaking ridiculous. So, I can't stress it enough, if you like our show, if there's any internet wrestling radio show that you like, that you listen to, and I know there's plenty of friends that I have that check out our show, and there's a bunch of other wrestling radio shows that they check out. There's friends that I know that just make their rounds listening to wrestling radio shows. If you like what we all do in general, then join the fight, help us out. We need your help because we can't have these guys sitting up and doing what they're doing, because when it's all said and done, the domino effect is going to be even our shows will be affected So if it gets to that point where we can't even upload stuff to our YouTube subscribers, then it's unfortunate. They're going to be shit out of luck, and we don't really want that to be happening to listeners. But I can't stress it enough, man. Come up out the pockets, pay the pay-per-view. If it's too much, there is a thing called DVD. Check it out when it comes out on DVD. No harm in that. One other thing I want to mention real quick, and it's not even going to take that long. I'm not going to even be as long as I just was on the other topic. I've had a few people who have had other wrestling radio shows hit me up, and they say to me, oh, I want to do a collaboration with you. Your show's on point. You sound pretty awesome. I want to do something with you. Word of advice, and I'm not saying this to sound cocky or arrogant, nothing like that. If you're going to send that type of a reply to me, I need you to do me one huge favor. I need you to be on point, because if you are not on point when I listen to your show, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, I will listen to your most recent episode. I will listen to an episode that you've done 3 months ago. I will listen to an episode that you might have done a year ago. If you suck, I'm going to embarrass you. I can't stress that enough. And true story, I had this one guy, I'm not going to even put his name out there. He decided he wanted to follow me on Twitter, and he decided that he wanted to try to follow the show handle on Twitter, and he sent me an email talking about he wanted to do a collaboration. I checked out like 3 of this guy's episodes, and I'm not making this stuff up. This is exactly how the show was. Now, first off, talk about creativity. The guy's show intro was the WWE Raw intro. Okay, way to do copyright infringement, brother. So strike 1. Strike 2 comes in. He goes, yeah, welcome to the show, guys. So let's talk about WWE Raw. It came out tonight, and it was pretty good. I mean, it wasn't as bad as last week, but it was a good episode. I didn't really think it was. How did you like the episode? Well, I gave Raw 8 out of 10. I thought it was all right. Okay, and you still got 36 minutes of showtime left, and already within the first 5 minutes, you haven't sold to me worth a damn. I was ready to hit the frickin' snooze button. I wasn't sure what the hell I was listening to. I wasn't sure if I was actually listening to a wrestling radio show or if I was listening to 5-year-olds battling over toys or something. I mean, if you're going to come at me right, be on point, because I'm not interested in going backwards. I'm interested in going forwards. I can't stress that enough. We do love doing collaborations with people, but we love doing collaborations with people that are either at our level or they are way past our level. And I'm the type of person, I love learning new things. So for me personally, I like learning from veteran guys at this point, guys that they got that chemistry down, they got that charisma. They're just oozing when they're on the radio. I like stuff like that. I am not trying to sit up. Just picture it if you're trying to hear the latest results for TNA Impact Wrestling. Hey, guys, it's the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders here, coming at you on a new Impact Showdown Radio. We're going to cover tonight's fallout from the Open Fight Night edition of TNA Impact Wrestling. And then you go from that to, hey, we're going to talk about TNA Impact tonight, and it was a good show. It was good. It was better than last week, but grow a set of balls, man. Come on, get some charisma in there. I'm serious, okay? All right, I've said enough. I didn't mean to rant on like that, but I've gotten comments from time to time say, hey, we like it, when you kind of loosen up a little more on the show. So I just figured I'd loosen up a little bit more for you guys tonight. Hope you appreciate it. Let's open up the phone lines right now. We got plenty of show time left. Number to call, and you can kick on back, Smile and Dow, 646-478-3525. Once again, that's 646-478-3525. And, we want to send a special shout-out to our good friend, Homie, in the San Antonio, Texas area. Homie, unfortunately, his son is getting a transplant this week, and they're actually in the hospital right now, if I'm not mistaken. So our deepest prayers go out to you and your family right now. Do hope that transplant goes well. Let's go to our good buddy Dave in the Michigan area. Dave, you're live, my friend.
Hey, how's it going, Lee?
Hey, good, bro. How you been?
Oh, not too bad. I want to send get well soon to Homie as well, too. I talk to him on Twitter all the time.
Now, is his son getting the surgery right now as we speak, or?
I'm not sure exactly. First I heard, but I haven't really talked to him about this exactly, but I hope everything goes well. I'm just wishing great and positive energy his way.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's really hard to go through, I'm sure.
Yeah, it has to be, yeah.
But after everything you were talking about, I was like, man, yeah, it makes some sense. You've told me before on personal emails that you got to sell people on you, sell them a product on YouTube or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I don't like about it, because when I first got into getting on YouTube and stuff like that, looking for videos, I would go through and look for old WE videos,
right,
old WF videos, and now they're making it where you can't even get on YouTube to go look for any of those videos anymore. So that's one sucky thing about it, because that's one thing I loved about YouTube is to watch all the old stuff.
Now, I know you and me have talked many times, and you've gone on record and said that, hey, I've ordered this pay-per-view, I've ordered that pay-per-view. Talk as that consumer. How does that make you feel to know that somebody is sitting up taking a 40, 50, 60, don't let it be WrestleMania, $80 pay-per-view that you ordered, and they're uploading it on YouTube?
Yeah, well, just recently, it sucks people are doing that, but people are going to try to find a cheap, they don't want to pay $50 or $80 for a pay-per-view. They're going to find a way to watch it. Well, it's illegal, so it doesn't matter how many people can say, but once more stuff like this starts happening, like you said tonight, this guy got busted, more people are going to start to realize, okay, well, your IP address can be tracked. I mean, I don't know what some people are thinking, but I don't get some of these people, but, heck, WrestleMania, I went half with somebody for the WrestleMania last year, so it's so we just go to people's houses, check it out like that.
Yeah, exactly. So what you thought about tonight's Impact?
It was good. One thing I liked was one of the few things I liked was the Matt Morgan segment with Hogan. It showed me that Hogan is really behind Matt Morgan. Because he's not going to let just some random guy punk him out right there on TV.
Nah. Not
just anybody's going to punk Hogan out. He made Hogan look like a scared old man. I mean, he just looked really scared when Morgan said, do something about it.
It's weird, though, isn't it, dude? Because the past couple of weeks they've shown Hogan, every time Morgan gets in his face, he looks like this fragile, scared old man. But then when he's by himself in a backstage area, he's got this big, cheesy grin on his face, and he's like he's loving what he's seeing from Morgan.
Yeah. And the other thing I liked, I do like the Morgan thing. That's the one thing I liked because it's new. And I was just really impressed with Christian York. I mean, like you said last week, as soon as we were talking about him last week, I went and Googled him and stuff, and I was like, man, this guy really had a huge career. I did remember him vaguely a little bit. I remember from the beginning of TNA. But, I mean, which was kind of cool to see him again. But I was starting to question it, too. It was like, this guy's, 35, 36 years old, and he's getting another shot. But, I mean, look at some of the guys they've used, though, too. None of them has looked as good as he did.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, wow. I mean, this guy I thought he was going to win. When he hit that little swinging neck breaker thing, I thought he was going to win right there. I mean, he impressed me in that match. I actually thought that, okay, someone's actually going to win this.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. And go touch on the announcer thing that you've been talking about.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Raw doesn't do that. With 3 hours to kill, why not start off with, like, Matt Stryker and Josh Matthews, and then switch it up in the second hour with Michael Cole and JR or something like that? That would be interesting, I think.
It would
which
be
is
a
the whole
good
Nitro
experiment.
thing.
Yeah, it would be a good experiment, yeah. What did you think about AJ Styles' little mini pipe bomb there?
I rewound it, and I even told my girlfriend, here, look at this, AJ just dropping bombs on AJ. But they've done this before.
Yeah.
I mean, you remember the Nexus thing when they did Fortune? Kazarian even said, we're not for rookies, we're for men.
Yeah.
I mean, like, people know about it, but it's like, does it really mean anything? But you got to think, though, when you watch that video from Raw, what's the first thing you thought of? AJ Styles and Dixie Carter. That's what I thought of anyway.
I was definitely picturing AJ Styles. I had AJ Styles.
It was really weird.
Yeah.
Just the camera, too. You know, it was like, really?
Yeah.
What are they going to do next week, have a phone call?
Very eerie, yeah. They really, they are not making this lawsuit look like it's just going to be able to just get swept under the rug, just, without any bias. TNA is really building it makes you wonder what direction is WWE going to take going next week, because now that TNA is noticing that, does WWE try to tweak it in a way where they can make it their own, or do they go on ahead and squash it next week?
I hope they keep it. I mean, I hope TNA keeps doing what they're doing. Like, keep getting better, because I remember the days when WCW was still around, and they needed WCW as much as Raw didn't really want them around. They needed them. That's what made the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what made wrestling fun to watch. Like, who's going to jump ship this week? I remember the Rick Rude thing. You remember that, where he's hitting the Patriot over there with a briefcase on Raw, and then he's on Nitro the same night.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, whoa, what the?
Yeah.
I mean, that was just mind-blowing.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Did you pick up the
Stone Cold?
Did you pick up the
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. But I was touching on that Stone Cold ET last week. You told us to check out. That was funny stuff, dude.
I'm glad you had checked that out, man. Oh, yeah, for those of you that didn't check that out, we were talking about it last weekend. There's this hilarious guy on YouTube. Just use the keywords Stone Cold ET. You'll know it when you see it. You'll thank me later. It is some of the most hilarious stuff. The guy does a great impression of Randy Orton giving an RKO to a Burger King vending machine speaker. Great impression of Al Bundy. But the Stone Cold, that's the meat and potatoes of that. You guys need to check that out. Stone Cold E.T. Dave, thanks for that call as always, buddy. We appreciate you. If you want to get in a call, talk about how you either liked or disliked TNA Impact Wrestling tonight, you can go ahead and do so right now. Call us at 646-478-3525. We've got a couple of minutes left before we go off the air, but in the meantime, let's let you guys know what we got planned for the Saturday edition of the RCWR Show Weekend Report. Something me and Dave just highlighted there. The WWE 13 video game, which was just released this Tuesday in most areas, Wednesday due to the hurricane. I'm going to have a in-depth, full-blown review for this game. It's going to be a good chunk of time that's going to be put to the side to talk about WWE 13. It's not going to be a 2-minute review. It's going to be at least a 15-minute review, maybe 10 minutes max. Let you guys know what's working for the video game, what's not working. I'm going to give you the final verdict on whether or not this game is really living up to all the hype that it's been dubbing so far from many video game websites, video game channels, magazines, so forth. So make sure that you check that out. We'll also get you guys covered on the very latest in WWE, TNA Wrestling-related news, entertainment news, and beyond. It's the RCWR Show Weekend Report. You can hear it this Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern, right here on blogtalkradio.com and over at our sister website at infinityoneproductions.com. I think that's it, man. We did a pretty solid show tonight. I wasn't even going to go on this long originally. I was looking at the cutoff time to be just before 11:10. So it was really nice that we were able to have a little bit more fun there with you guys tonight. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode. And, hey, the talk of wrestling doesn't stop here. You can check us out at our website at Infinity One Productions, where the talk of wrestling, it always continues on. Also, you can hit us up on Twitter at Infinity One Prod. Special shout-out to one of our new followers. You know exactly who he is. He's a hashtag super friend. That's all I got to say about that. And shout out to our newest YouTube subscribers. You all know who you are. List of names is so long we can't even go through it, but you all know exactly who you are. Welcome to the YouTube channel. Hope you guys appreciate the content. In the meantime, check us out on the downloads, iTunes, Zoom Marketplaces, keywords, the RCWR Show. For everybody in the chat room, Philip, I love TNA Wrestling, as always. Appreciate you guys popping up in there. Appreciate those of you that called into the show. Even if you didn't call in to get your voice heard on the air, you just wanted to call in, check out the episode. We appreciate it. And let's do this again this Saturday afternoon for the RCWR Show Weekend Report. Till I hear from you guys this Saturday, you all be safe and you all be kind to one another. And if you have not done so already, be sure to donate to the Red Cross to help out the victims that were affected by Hurricane Sandy. If you have a mobile phone, all you got to do is text Red Cross to the following number, 90999. Text Red Cross to 90999. Donate $10. Goes a long ways. Help out those victims affected by Hurricane Sandy. Once again, till we hear from y'all this Saturday, you all be safe and kind to one another, folks. We'll see you later. Do take care.